Rocky Mountain Down Syndrome Association. So my first question is, how many of you know someone with Down syndrome? I know you have some students here. Okay, so there's a lot of you. Unlike my friends here that are also talking, we only deal with people that have Down syndrome. We don't deal with any other intellectual disability. It's just Down syndrome. We have been around for a long time. We started in 1981 when at that time, when a child was born with Down syndrome, the family got a knock on their door and they put that child, they took the child away and put them in an institution. And up until that point in time, the children were not raised with their families, they weren't included in daily life. Starting in 1981, institutions closed and the families took in their child and kept their child with them and raised them as they do with their typical children. And this group of families decided to form our association so that they could support each other and help each other. So that's how we started, and we've been around really for quite a long time. Our first program, and probably our best well-known program, is our First Call program. And that's when there's a baby born with Down syndrome. So I'm going to take you through a couple scenarios. You're pregnant with your first child, and you go to the hospital to have your baby. Your baby's born with Down syndrome. You had no idea. You feel very alone. You don't know what to do. You feel like you're probably the only person in the state of Colorado that had a baby with Down syndrome. We get a call from the hospital when that happens, and we go to that hospital and sit with that family the minute that family says, please come. And we do that all over the state of Colorado. We go to Steamboat Springs, we go to Grand Junction, we go where the family has the baby, and we sit with them and we help them understand they're not alone. Here's what life can be like. Here are some services and supports that you can put into place so that you're not alone. And one of the things we do with them right away is connect them to their community group. So we have groups of families all over the state that get together and they have speakers and they plan parties, but they all have one thing in common, and that is they have a child with Down syndrome. So we connect them with that community group, whether it's in Fort Collins or in Pueblo, wherever they are, so that they have an immediate support system. We do serve the whole state, as I said. We get on average 3,000 calls a year of people calling saying, I just had a baby, I just moved here, I don't know what school to go to, we're having problems with our student at school. Whatever the case may be, we handle those calls and we help the family. And we, as I said, we get about 3,000. Our mission, and you'll see on the front of the brochure, our tagline is, you are family with us. We are trying to make everyone feel like they are part of a big family, and that big family has one common thread, and that's Down syndrome. Our current mission, however, is to enhance independence and for our family members with Down syndrome to be included, so that kids with Down syndrome are included in your class, they're included in school, they go to the dances, they're included in everything that you as a typical student get to do. But also we work on enhancing independence for them. So what you may not know, which is so new now, people with Down syndrome live till they're almost 60. They're getting married. There are 3 college programs in Colorado now that they can go to and get their college degree. So life is very, very different than it was in 1981 when we first started. And that's part of what we try to explain to our families. It's not quite as bleak as they think it is when they first have that baby. We do not take any government funding, so everything that we do to operate, we either fundraise or we write grants to get that money. And our biggest fundraiser is one I want to talk to you a little bit about. It's our Step Up for Down Syndrome walk. We do it in September. Every year we have a high school challenge for those high schoolers to come out and support their fellow students with Down syndrome. And every year, for like the last 6 years, Dakota Ridge has won that contest. They get over 250 students out there to walk with their students with Down syndrome. And I would love to see a challenge of that from Bear Creek students, to put together a team and come out and walk, or come out and volunteer. We have games, we have crafts, we have food, and I use about 350 volunteers that day. If you want to come out and make a difference in someone's life, that would be the day to come out and help and see what life is like for some of our other families. I'll leave you with a story of a typical day in our life at Rocky Mountain Down Syndrome Association. There's only 4 of us that work in the office, so we have to handle everything that happens day to day. So it's the day before Thanksgiving. Everyone wants to go home. Everyone wants to call it a holiday. And I get a call from Skyridge Hospital that a 53-year-old woman with Down syndrome had been left there. Her brother had dropped her off and left. And what were we gonna do? And we're all like, we don't know what we're gonna do. So what do we do in those instances? Just like we do when there's a baby born, we go to the hospital and we sit with her and we figure out what her next steps were. And as it turns out, she was pretty sick and her brother didn't know how to help her. And so he thought by getting her to the hospital, she would get help, which she ended up doing. And there's a little bit of a happy end to that story. But those are the types of things we do every day. We get a call, we go. We're just there to support the families with Down syndrome. This brochure I brought you, it tells you our mission, it tells you all of our programs, and it gives you pictures of people from birth to adulthood with Down syndrome, so that you can see the types of individuals that we support and the different programs that we do.
Thanks, Miriam.